Hey guys, this is Camfrey15 and I'm back at it with another review for you guys, and I am back with another Quintessential Quintuplets Season 2 review. And it seems like our quintuplets, their backs are against the wall because, man, their dad laid down a gauntlet and they could all be transferring schools saying goodbye to Futuro forever. But I thought again, another good episode of the Quintessential Quintuplets, just for the funny parts at the start of the episode when it came to the shipping moments. Because all of the sisters now, I guess you can indirectly say all the sisters have feelings for him now. You know, the only one that kind of doesn't show it as much is really Itsuki, and I guess you can say Yotsuba. But then again, Yotsuba kind of had a moment in this episode when she, for some reason, kissed our boy Futuro. So Yotsuba has, I guess you can say, the first rights to a kiss with Futuro, even though technically, it was just to get something off his face. Now, I don't know why she freaking decided to kiss him on the cheek to suck up the cream that was on his face. But okay, so for you Yotsuba fans, I hope that moment was probably your favorite, because I definitely was freaking laughing and stuff like that. Anyways, as I'm like leading in, I thought the whole dynamic between of how the quintuplets and the Futuro relationship, they really all have come so far since the very start of this series. Now the sisters actually the sisters actually will actively try to do their work, because we see, in some moments in this episode that, there are some moments where some of the sisters literally go out of their way to try to help Futuro the best they can and stuff like that. And, they're doing their work, for the Ichika stuff. While she's doing her whole acting gig, she's also doing her homework at the time, even though Futuro kind of corrects her later in the episode, like, you got a question wrong. You see that the sisters are actually dedicated to learning. Even in the last scene with their dad, they're like, okay, we'll take on your little foolish challenge and stuff like that. But the first few minutes of the episode, it was kind of the sisters, knowing, especially after what happened with last week, knowing that they're living in this whole living arrangement that they're in. They're coming up with the idea of a way to kind of pay back Futuro, but they can't have an indirect way of doing it. And one of the ways, now it later gets brought back after the whole funny business they were doing. And the thing is, we find out that essentially they can't pay Futuro, obviously, because they're paying for the house and stuff like that, and they don't have money. But also, what I did find funny is the fact that they were trying to come up with ways to try to pay him back. And the funny thing is, they literally, because they invited him and Futuro's sister Raiha over to their place, and they were watching some romance film, and one of the pop things that come to their head in the little mini discussion is speaking of which one, who would kiss Futuro. And it's funny because they're like, Ichika, why don't you do it, because you're an actress? And she's like, I can't do it, why about Miku do it? And stuff like that. Nino, she doesn't want to do it, even though she has definitely caught feelings for Futuro, especially even later on in the episode when they have that moment in the store where he kind of makes sure she doesn't fall over because the bag they're carrying is too heavy. And she's like, I can't believe this dude was actually Kintaro. And Nino's whole thing is she can't freaking believe that Futuro, she doesn't believe that Futuro could be that guy, I guess you can say her, knight in shining armor, her prince, the guy she wants to be with for the rest of her life, essentially. She never freaking envisions Futuro doing that. And it's funny because the delusions they think of is really freaking crazy. Like I said earlier, Yotsuba actually freaking kissed Futuro on the cheek. in kind of an indirect way, just trying to get cream off the face. And the reactions from the other quintuplets were so damn funny. Because they were like, holy shit! Yotsuba actually kissed freaking Futaro. And you have Miku, who obviously out of all the sisters like him the most. And she's like, you're dead to me, essentially. So, you know, what I find hilarious is the fact that Yotsuba is literally stupid. You know, she's not aware about, you know, feelings and stuff like that, but she was the most bold sister to go up there and actually kiss her. Now, she did react to the fact that she did kiss him, which was kind of the only person in that whole thing that kind of didn't react. He's like, what did you do that for? So, I don't know, maybe the feelings hasn't developed for the fact that he likes one of the sisters. He kind of just freaking respects them. And he also does give an answer to why he is continuing to tutor them, because of the fact of, he said he's just essentially doing it of his own free will because he wanted to do it. Obviously, like I said, you know, Futaro at the start of the series probably, you know, would not come back to help these sisters. But obviously, Futaro now, after all the development he's gotten, and the fact that he knows that the sisters deep down, they do want to try their hardest and they do care, they do want to improve, he's actually got a new light on them. And like I said, going on into the episode, the whole thing also too was the fact that the living arrangement is pretty hard to live in, because obviously each can never envision like things being more expensive than obviously it is. So far, I don't have to pay any house bills right now in my case, but I know I cannot, I'm not ready to do that. And I'm definitely not ready or waiting to do that. I'll take the longest time I can before I decide to get my own place. But as I was saying, that whole thing, so the sisters do think about potentially getting jobs. That's one thing. We also do find this whole thing that Nino kind of wants to start her own food bakery, restaurant type of thing, like, you know, her own business essentially in regards to food, which is a pretty interesting, nice little freaking, you know, goal she wants to have in the future. It's funny because every time she brings that up, she just, I guess you can say, daydreams of her and Futaro cooking together. Like, you know, she envisions them being together, which again, like I said, Nino is adorable, especially after the fact that she cut her hair. She was adorable. Now, there's specifically two things. I'll talk about the Ichika thing first. So Futaro, because now he's got a job, since he can't really tutor the quintuplets and get paid, he has a job, and essentially their little, you know, business, their little bakery is holding like a movie shoot, and he actually runs into Ichika, who's wearing like these little ponytails. She looks cute, you know. I like Ichika, she looks cute, and she has like this role of this, you know, if you've seen in typical TV shows or any other animes where there's a character, specifically a girl character, that plays like the, I want to say the oblivious kind of dumb character role that, you know, they come off as sweet and adorable, even though they're essentially an oblivious dumb character. That's the type of role she's playing in this movie shoot she's doing and stuff like that. And, you know, Futaro in the first discussion said, well, I thought you could do better, get a better role than play this role, but, you know, he's just like, well, you know, I have to do what I have to do. You know, I got to pay the bills somehow, so whatever, you know, position's open, I'm gonna take it. So then next up, after their second discussion, which was funny in that whole scene, was after, you know, or even before the movie shoot, you know, Futaro made a pie, but his pie wasn't that good, and he's trying to make a pie as good enough so he can get a raise, but his boss is like, yeah, no. And you see freaking they hand the pie out to the actors. Not Nino. Ichika actually eats the pie, and yeah, eventually they have a nice little discussion where, you know, like I said, you see Ichika in her spare time freaking, you know, doing some homework and stuff like that, and they have a nice little discussion. The one also funny thing about Ichika is because she's working so hard, she just honestly just goes to sleep on contact because she's so tired with how much acting she's doing and stuff like that. And here she kind of, you know, lies and kind of fakes, or she's acting that she's asleep, and like the thumbnail shows, she gets a nice Futaro doesn't really have his arm truly around her. He's got like his hand off of her, even though some guys would have the freaking girl sleep on their shoulder, but typically have, their arm on their shoulder. He didn't do that there, but it was a nice scene. It was a really nice scene, and it was also it also goes to show you that each gets pretty embarrassed to show like her true self. Like she is, I guess you can say, she obviously thinks that some people are gonna think different about her if she shows a different side to her. Even Futaro's like, why do you have to act so embarrassed instead of just showing who you really are and stuff like that? So, she got kind of flustered. It was kind of another shipping moment between her and Futaro. Almost similar to some of the moments, they had in season 1 at the end of that camp arc they had, which I thought was pretty sweet too. So yeah. Now, the other big, little big portion of this episode was regarding their dad. Even at the start of the episode, we see their dad. The dad kind of reminds me of the dad from Food Wars. I guess not as like much of a jerk like Erina's dad. If you ever watch Food Wars, sorry if I'm spoiling Food Wars, but yes, if you're watching Food Wars, there's a point in the storyline. I won't tell you how the storyline goes, but there's a point where the main female character of the series' father comes back, and essentially he's a total dick. Here, the father here honestly is a total a-hole kind of. Which, funny enough, the episode starts off. Not only does the dad look like the dad from Food Wars, but his eyes are squinted. So, 2, we finally see what the dad really looks like, and we already know the dad was the doctor, which Futaro pointed out. And we actually see at the start of the episode, before Futaro essentially resigned from doing the tutor position, he called up the dad and told him everything, like, oh yeah, did you know that, Nino and Itsuki got into a fight and left home? And essentially dad's like, oh, well, thanks for telling me, so goodbye now. And essentially, Futaro kind of told him, like, bro, why are you saying that? Don't you want to know what's going on in your daughter's life? Like, don't you have a heart to know? You would think a caring dad would probably be like, well, what was the reason for them getting in a fight? And stuff like that. And essentially, he never asked that question. And like I said, Futaro eventually called him an a-hole because he actually cares for the sisters, and he wants the sisters to have somebody that cares about them back, which I thought was nice. And at the end of the episode, Itsuki, because she gets a call earlier in the episode from her dad, she meets up with her dad at like some sort of Starbucks ripoff. Yotsuba, Nino, and Futaro all see that happen. They're kind of listening, and essentially the dad is essentially telling them, like, yo, you guys ain't doing your work, you guys ain't getting smarter and stuff like that, and things like that. And that's, she's like, listen, stop tutoring with Futaro, otherwise, yada yada yada's gonna happen. But Itsuki's telling the dad, like, no, we want him. We'll go back home if he can come, essentially, and continues to tutor us. But essentially dad's like, well, okay, how about this? I'll agree to your demands, but on one condition. Yes, you're gonna have Futaro back as one of your tutors, but I'm gonna have somebody, he's gonna have to work side by side with this tutor as the tutor's support, as the main tutor support, and stuff like that. They eventually don't like that plan, so that's when he comes up, he's like, okay, fine. And it's funny because you can see that the dad really doesn't care, because if the dad really did care, yes, showing the dad at least gives a little bit of a care in the world to want his daughters to succeed and have good grades. I can respect that. But, kind of not observing what they're doing and just kind of being distanced from them is kind of weird and everything. And essentially you have a part in this discussion with him and Itsuki back where he's like, man, come on, you really want to trust that guy? Like, your guys' grades didn't even do anything. And, he brings up Yotsuba for an instant. He's like, you really think Yotsuba's going to get a good grade and actually succeed? Because I don't believe it, which honestly, that was a low blow. You didn't have to say that. Like, that goes to show you that this dad has no trust in his daughters. Like, yes, you can have a kid maybe like struggle and not be good academically in school, But heck, even as a parent, it's probably in your best interest to look after them and see like, hey, how's your day going? You know, let me show you some things that I learned. You would think the dad would actually try to help out in this whatever, but he doesn't really do that. And because Nino, Futaro, and Yotsuba are overhearing, Yotsuba actually, you know, well, at first Futaro was actually gonna probably go punch the guy and probably step up for all the sisters and actually do anything. Luckily, Nino kind of called him. She's like, listen, it's okay, and stuff like that. It's fine. So props to Futaro for trying to actually stand up for the sisters and trying to at least hit their dad and knock some sense in him. Which again, his point early in the episode meant about the dad being an a-hole was completely true. But Yotsuba, who hears it, she goes, she's like, listen, I bet you we'll freaking work our butts off and we'll get a good grade on this exam and stuff like that. And essentially the dad's like, okay, here, but how about this? I'll do you guys a favor. So there's a board member I know who's also a high school teacher, and she will take in third years. So this is your challenge. If you, on your next exam, cannot all get good grades, I'm going to transfer you to the school I just talked about. And there's nothing you can do about it. So, well, it looks like that Yotsuba, and the funny thing, is it looked like Yotsuba was gonna say like, we're not accepting to that. But Itsuki's like, no, okay, fine. Excuse me, you got yourself a deal. And essentially, you know, you have Itsuki kind of give a backhanded comment, which I honestly loved that she said this to the dad face to face. And essentially, she said, well, I'm sorry, Dad, you know, that I'm not, you know, an intelligent, you know, a capable, you know, amendable, you know, child or smart. Essentially she was saying, I'm sorry for not being smart, Dad. You know, if you would like at least give a damn about us and you could try and go help us, maybe we wouldn't be in the position we are now and stuff like that. And I love when Itsuki, you know, came out and said that, because essentially she was calling out her dad on his BS. Like, essentially she was, like I said, saying like, yeah, I'm sorry that we're like this, Dad, but you know, maybe if you help us out yourself, maybe we wouldn't be in this position. You know, and I'm guessing, you know, Itsuki's kind of telling the dad, like, why you have to be so distant from us? You know, you're never there. You know, you have this, you have this boy from school come and help us, and you're not, you know, actively helping us. And then, you know, whenever we like this guy, in terms of the aspect, we feel like he's doing a good job, you know, and you just want to take him away from us, which, again, you know, I understand where Itsuki's point. So that's apparently going to be the next channel. The next episode is titled The Final Exam, so I'm guessing we're going to get a time skip to the next exam they take, and we'll have to see. Will the sisters finally pass the test? Obviously, some people will be like, well, they need to pass the test. I feel like they will pass the test, like just barely, if they really, you know, learn. The thing is, you know, obviously, you know, the thing is this Futaro teaching these, you know, sisters to obviously be smart, obviously, but at the same time, it's also a romance anime. So I feel like maybe what they can do is the sisters do pass the test and get good grades, but just barely, like, you know, you get 70% on your exam or something like that. Which, again, you could say that's kind of a huge increase, but I personally don't think it is. But yeah, but other than that, it was a good episode. I enjoyed it. You actually make me hate another anime dad, you know? So yeah, also the dad looked weird as heck. It's funny because he explains to Itsuki's like the reason why he doesn't like Futaro, and essentially he's like, yeah, I just hate that guy. And it's funny because Itsuki's like, you're acting like a damn child, man, which is freaking funny. So yeah, but the good episode of the Quintessential Quintuplets. Can't wait to see what happens next week. And yeah, so if you guys like the video, leave a like, put in the comment section your thoughts on this episode for the Quintessential Quintuplets, as well as hit that subscribe button if you want to get more Quintessential Quintuplets reviews going forward. Till then, guys, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Fun fact, I'm actually going to tell you guys just straight up. I was supposed to say this on my Dragon Quest, but whatever. I guess I'll be advertising for the next week. I believe Saturday I'll come out and I'm actually uploading one of my first gameplays of a video game I'm playing onto my YouTube channel. Typically, I don't want to do video games because I don't want to get copyright stricken, but I think the game I'm playing, I should be fine. Plus, I'm a smaller channel, so it's not like they can really strike me. If I was bigger, maybe yes. But I typically don't do gameplays. There's going to be a gameplay going up on Saturday. I don't know what it is yet because I have 2 gameplay things going on. I actually might have to make a recording for another gameplay. But yeah, other than that, that's kind of just it. So just some update if you guys want to know and you're into the gaming stuff and you are subscribed to the channel. Look forward to my first gaming video of this year, as well as my first gaming video on the channel. So anyways, guys, I'm gonna get out of here. Hopefully you guys having a great rest of your day or night or whenever you're checking out this video. Until then, guys, stay safe out there and also have a good Super Bowl weekend. Till then, guys, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.